All right, getting some fuel and 20-hour drive ahead of us back to Kansas from Florida, 80 degrees to 20 degrees. Had to make a quick pit stop here at a car wash because Joel was panicking from the road salt on the drive back.
Panicking.
Turn left onto Mission Bellevue Road. In 1.6 miles, the destination is on your right.
Home sweet home. Hard to believe it's been 2 weeks since we've been gone. Seems like we just took off yesterday.
What do we get? We got all kinds of Shimano and Loomis rods right here.
I got some goodies too, showed up while we were gone.
I should have about 6 packages here.
Hey everybody, just got back to the ranch after the long 20-hour drive home from the Bassmaster Eastern. We got a lot of unpacking to do. We probably got a week's worth of work to do. Before I get started unpacking though, haven't seen my youngest kid in 2 weeks, haven't seen my dog in 2 weeks, so we're going to go inside, go say hi, see what everybody's up to in there, and then we're going to start the long job of unpacking and starting to rig for the next tournament.
No, not on the couch.
What's going on over here? Just wrestling? What are you doing, dummy? Get you. Oh. You stay down. You stay down. You stay down. What are you guys doing? Wrestling? What are you doing, big dummy? What's mom doing over here?
Cleaning up.
Welcome home.
Welcome home to the rambunctious crew.
What do we got going on in here? Thomas! What's up, buddy?
Hug.
What's up, buddy? You say hi, Dada?
Did we just get done with
You high
dinner?
five? What'd you eat for dinner?
What was on your plate?
Did you have some broccoli? Ooh, broccoli and cheese soup? Cool. What do we got for dinner, hon?
Wild rice soup.
Dang!
Broccoli. Cookies.
Where's your toy? Where's your toy? Oh, what do you got there, buddy? Oh, what do you got? Oh, what do you got? What do you got, huh? What do you got, buddy? You haven't seen me 2 weeks, buddy. Oh, what do you got, buddy? Oh, what do you got? You got a new toy? Got a new toy? All right, Joel. Just got back to the ranch, 20-hour drive. What you got going on?
Man, we just got back. Haven't even taken the boat cover off yet. Got a few things unpacked from the truck and went into the house garage.
We got a good meal.
Oh, we had a good meal. We got a very good meal. Greg's wife Kelly made us an awesome soup and broccoli and cookies.
Thanks, babe. That was good to come home to after 20 hours on the road.
all kinds of good stuff. So we ate real quick, and you know, I came back to a ton of packages, man. I got all kinds of good stuff. I don't even know what I got here. I got all kinds of G Loomis stuff, got a couple new NRXs.
Jeez, it's like Christmas in the boat garage when you got back from Florida.
Got a couple, bunch of Humminbird, Mikota, Talon swag. Got some Phoenix boats swag, some Shimano stuff. A whole bunch of awesome reels.
Dang.
Well,
you're hooked up.
Yeah, we got hooked up. We got some oxygenators around here. You got to get these put in my boat. Again, this is kind of behind the scenes stuff. Man, we got a lot of work to do on these boats. I got a few things wrong that, you know, nothing real major, but my Mercury SmartCraft gauge isn't working. I got to get that fixed. I got to get both of these oxygenators in. Hopefully gonna have my my Mega 360 imaging on before the next tournament. Got to get that sent down here. Get that.
Yeah, we're gonna use them, aren't we?
Man, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of preparation that's got to go into before we get back out in the water, but that's part of it. You know, looking forward to the next couple of weeks, just kind of winding down and getting some stuff done.
Sweet. What do we got going on over here? See, this is some behind the scenes. What you playing, William?
We're also not sick of fishing.
You're playing
so
Miss Natalie at Go Fish?
Yeah.
Who's winning?
It depends on if we were counting that last round. I think we were saying it's
we
a warm-up.
were warming up, so it's still
Does that mean you're
0-0.
losing?
Yeah, so
No.
Natalie won the warm-up.
Or just
so it doesn't
warming up?
count.
So it's 0-0 now.
Oh.
So
All right.
Okay, one.
Well, we'll get all the work done. You guys keep playing over here and play some Go Fish, all right?
okay.
Good luck.
So here's how this works. These guys are going to fish 7 regular season events. We've got a great schedule in 2020. The top 50 guys in the point standings are going to qualify for this title event.
What's up, guys? Back here in snowy Kansas, sitting here in the boat garage. Just relaxing, actually watching FLW Live this morning. Just kind of reflecting on the past tournament down at Lake Kissimmee for the first Bassmaster Eastern Open.
Yeah, we've been back for, what, 5 days?
Been back for 5 days. You know, just got kind of decompressed. Got a lot of our stuff unpacked. Starting to kind of mess around with our rods and tack, all that kind of stuff. Just getting it organized. You know, kind of thinking about the next few tournaments that we got going. We're actually going to fish a BFL down on Table Rock end of February. From there, we're going to fish one on Grand Lake and Lake of the Ozarks before we head down to Lake Lewisville in Texas for the first stop of the Central Opens for the Bassmaster Open. So
Yeah, it's kind of nice since I moved down here to kind of southeastern Kansas. There's a lot of good bodies of water around. I mean, we're within 2 hours of Lake of the Ozarks and Grand, so we're going to take advantage of that over the next few years, kind of learn these Ozark Mountain lakes better, do a lot of fishing, jump in as many tournaments as we can. Rather than just fishing these big, the opens type, trying to make the elites. I think we're going to do a lot of learning around here too. It's one of the nice parts about being close to some of these bodies of waters. There's some world-class fishing within a couple hours a year.
And that's the thing. I mean, when you got, you fish a tournament, you get into the zone, and then you got a 2 or 3 month wait until the next tournament. You need to keep fishing. You need to keep, all your gear going. Just stay sharp. I mean, if you went to a 9-to-5 job every day, and then you took 2 months off and came right back into it, you're going to be lost. I mean, there's going to be things that, you're going to forget, just the little things. So if you can keep on the water and stay sharp, I mean, man, it makes all the difference in the world. Just to keep your brain going, keep everything, all your electronics, your rods, reels, everything just up to par, and just kind of keep flowing into the next big tournament.
Yep. So first post-game show that we've done. These will probably evolve over time, but we're back from the first Eastern. You'll see the first episode of Black and Blue dropped. You'll see the travel video back here, and then we're going to kind of do. Our plan is to kind of do a post-game show like this after each tournament, kind of tell you how we did, where we're at in the points, and then most importantly, kind of break down what we learned while we were there at the tournament. So we'll kind of see how that goes, but I guess back from Toho, Joel, what place did you get? How'd you do? Kind of where you at in the points after the first one on the Easterns?
So, first one in Toho. Man, I was excited to go into this one. This is actually a third national tournament that I fished on this lake. Last year I fished the FLW Tour, had a decent finish. You know, I was really excited, learned a bunch about the lake, kind of had a game plan before I even got there, what I wanted to do. And man, I finished up 79th. Day one, I think I had 10 pounds, 10 ounces. I was actually in 79th day one. I figured if I could go out there and catch that or even a little bit more, you know, I would bump up. Typically the weights will go down. After day two, I actually caught one more ounce than I did on day one. I caught 10, 11 on day two, and I stayed in 79th. You know, I was around pretty good fish. I thought there was a bunch of big ones moving in. I was catching a lot of small bucks in practice in this area. You know, was just expecting a few of the big females to move up. And it actually happened. On day two, right away in the morning, my co-angler cast it out to a little pad patch or isolated pad stems and caught a 6.5 pounder right off the bat. And, you know, I was super excited. I thought that there was a bunch of big ones that moved in. I thought I could get a big bite. All I need is one big bite to really, you know, boost myself up there and get a check, you know, maybe even, you know, one big one, maybe even two big ones. I would be fishing the final day, but just never got that big bite. You know, caught a bunch of fish. I could see a bunch of fish in there. There was a bunch of golden shiners and different bait in this area, and you'd see these big fish come up and bust on them. And man, I threw everything. I threw from a wacky Senko to a top water to a speed worm to chatterbait to a big swim bait. I threw everything at them. They were just so locked in and keyed in on that live bait, the golden shiners that they were eating in there. And, you know, we just couldn't get them to bite. They were around, but, you know, all in all, I got 121 points for that tournament. You know, not obviously the way I wanted to start, but I'm not out of it. You know, I need to really step it up and have some good ones for the next 3 Easterns and get off to a good start in the Centrals.
Yeah, so our goal is making the Bassmaster Elite Series. It's all about points. You got 120 out of a possible 200. So, you know, for the rest of the Easterns, we got 3 tournaments left through the year. You're not out of it at 120 points. You know, what are you thinking? 3 top 20s probably? Averaging a top 20 from here on out in the
Top 20,
Easterns?
top 30. I mean, it's kind of hard, you know, with this being the first, well, it's the second year where they've taken it from each division. First year where they've taken it from both divisions. You know, take four English from both divisions, the highest in points. So, you know, last year they took was it 5 from each division?
Yeah.
We're kind of going off those numbers. I mean, it's obviously an average. Kind of depends on how everybody else finishes throughout the year. But what we've kind of figured is we need to basically, what do we figure out?
I don't know. We were thinking 700, but that's probably high after having gone down there and seen the quality of the field.
Right.
So probably 650 points-ish. But regardless, at this point, with a 79th Plenish, you probably need to take, you know, I was thinking for you, I finished worse than Joel did. I finished about 118th and only got 80 points. So I probably need to average a top 15 or 20. Joel might be able to get away with top 25s as an average, but both are still doable, and we're alive in the Easterns. But the good news is we've got all 4 Centrals. That's a completely different division. So if we start off good in the Centrals or do well there, each of us has a chance for the Elites there. Plus which for all 8, since we both were able to get points in this one and didn't have a complete blow-up, we're still alive for the all 8 circuit. So, and we probably need to take top 40s and the remainder of those to make it through all 8. But we knew that going into the season, we're going to have to catch them in a big way in order to accomplish this. It's one of the strongest fields, and I think we had 225 boats on Toho, and the top locals, the top FLW guys, the top MLF guys, and a lot of the Elite Series guys. So it's no slouch, and you got to catch them. And like Joel said, we just didn't get a big bite. And I had 80 points instead of 120 points. I finished 118th and just didn't execute like I needed to. You know, it was around probably top 40 fish the whole time. We'll get into that here in a little bit, but you know, just didn't execute like I needed to, and didn't get in what bit me. So put myself in a little bit of a hole, but we're very much alive. And then the other kicker is what's fun about all these tournaments and every time we prep is every time we put our belt in the water, we got a chance to win the tournament and make the Bassmaster Classic. So we got 7 more chances at that this year, and that's obviously a way to springboard your tournament fishing career too, is if one of us could make the Classic out of this series. So that's kind of where we're at in the points. Joel got 120, I got 80 out of a possible 200. Not enough. We're going to have to step it up here, so that's kind of where we're at on that. But talk to me about what we found in practice, I guess, and maybe let everybody know a little bit about. We focused mostly on Kissimmee. and we looked for areas where they were going to be. We know that they classically move in to spawn and stage to spawn, given the warm weather we had down there. And what did you kind of find on Kissimmee?
Yeah, so I pretty much committed myself to Kissimmee. Going down there, I wanted to fish Kissimmee. I felt like I had a good grasp of what was going on for this time of year and where those fish wanted to go. Something I learned last year during the tour event. There's probably 4 or 5 real main areas in Kissimmee that are known for spawning areas. And granted, these areas, they get a lot of pressure, but these areas are big. I mean, there's one area that we fish is probably maybe a 3,000 acre area. So, I mean, it can hold boats, it can get a lot of pressure, but the area is big. So I pretty much committed myself to Kissimmee, looking at all these areas, and got bites. I mean, the first couple days of practice was tough for me. The last day of practice, the wind kind of died down, the sun came out, and I started running around to these areas where I thought I could get bit, and man, I was getting bites often. So I was super happy about that. One thing that I now looking back, everything in hindsight, is I wish I would have went up to Toho and spent maybe another day in Toho looking at that grass. With these Bassmaster Opens, 225 boat field, there was a handful of guys running down to Kissimmee, and you have to lock through to get down to Kissimmee from Toho. So that lock, depending on your boat you're on, that lock only holds, I think, 12 or 13 boats. So, depending on how many guys are running down there, that lock gets, really backed up. So the first day on Toho, I had a pretty early boat. I was boat, I think, 54, day 1. For the little bit of time I did spend on Toho, I actually found some fish on beds up there. A couple good ones. I was super excited to get a pretty early boat draw and run to those fish. Well, I did run to those fish. Of course, when I got there was already boats on the one that I started at. Turned around, went back to another one that I had, and there was a boat on that one. So there I sat in Toho. Pretty much all the boats had already taken off. And the lock was already backed up. So there I sat, just not knowing where to go on Toho. I didn't really have an area where I thought I could go catch a bunch of fish. So I knew that the grass was going to play. It obviously played last year on the FLW tour.
Yeah.
But there was so many boats out there, and I don't like fishing around a lot of people. And it's kind of a needle in a haystack deal, I mean, with how many guys are out there fishing it, of course there's going to be guys that are going to find that one little, small spot in this, 1,000 acre grass area. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, there was a ton of guys out there, and there's only a handful that really caught them good out there. So,
so I knew I'd take off day 1. I'm running down the lake, and I'm going to the lock at Kissimmee, and I look over, and there's like 60 boats out in the middle of Toho down at the bottom of it, and I kind of go, uh-oh. Joel and I both had talked, and neither one of us spent a lot of time looking at that, and I knew right then, I went, well, this is how it's going to be won, and we have completely missed this one big player of this deal is going out and grabbing that grass, which we should have, in hindsight, we should have spent some time. It was won that way last time on the FLW tour by Buddy Gross. So that's just a hole in our practice plan, but, we still were around the fish to take. We found some spawning fish in Toho. I found some fish in hatch. All of my big bites in practice came in hatch and a haw. And then we had these areas in Kissimmee where we were getting a lot of bites. So we had, we had top 40 fish found. In hindsight, we should have had some grass fish that we could fish when we had time to and from the lock in Toho, and we would have really had a tournament strategy and had a chance to win. But the spawning thing on Toho was not really going down. We both found some fish doing that, but there wasn't a good enough cold front before the warm weather, and it just really wasn't happening, was it?
No, it definitely wasn't. Like Greg said, it was, there was some fish on beds. A lot of them were just the real small males.
Yeah. Like 13 inches.
Yeah, and I know that that one of the fish that I tried to go to in the on the first morning, guy named Alex Weatherall, he actually pulled up to when I came back to my second fish on the bed. He was actually on it as about a 5-pounder. I watched him catch it. He had like 18 pounds, I think, did it first day, maybe 18 and a half pounds, and he was just strictly sight fishing. Day 2, he had a real small limit. I think he had like 7 or 8 pounds. So right there goes to show you. He obviously had quite a handful. What he had day 1 is, I'm sure, all his bed fish, and that was kind of it. So he just kind of, I'm sure, scrambled around day 2. So, you know, there just wasn't that many fish on the bed, and the ones that were on the bed were a lot of the small males that had just moved up. So actually, probably right now it's probably going down there right now. There's probably fish laying around all over, and you know, it's just one of those things where we just missed it by a little bit. But that's, you know, we can't tell the fish what to do when we get there, and that's just part of fishing.
So I'm running down the lake day 1. I had a great co-angler draw with the gal. We were having a blast heading down there. She was familiar with some of the areas we were going to, so we're excited. Like, I had a lot of expectations. We were getting a lot of bites. We thought we could get a big bite or two. I also had a thing in hatch going. So despite having missed this offshore thing on Toho and I'm seeing them 60 billets, I'm still super optimistic going to Kissimmee.
In practice, the wind blew. I mean, it was probably 20, 25
Every single
miles
day it blew
an
20 to
hour
25 miles an hour.
Same straight out of the southeast. So it was, you know, it was blowing hard, but you could find areas protected just because it was blowing out of the same direction every day.
Yep.
And then come tournament day, it got completely slick. The wind actually was changing throughout the day, which calmed everything down. It was just, you know, everything was glass.
And normally that's not a problem. The Florida fish particularly like that sunny, calm conditions. But there was an unknown factor that we learned from that's a really big deal that happened here was the Kissimmee's very dirty all the way around the whole thing. The areas that were protected from this wind before, the wind had blown so hard for so many days that it had cleared up some of these areas where it was protected. The wind quit blowing, and all the water that wind had pushed one direction, you know, these are very shallow lakes. So there's almost, you kind of get like a dish effect where if you blow across water on a plate, it kind of pushes a lot of the water to the other side of the plate. But as soon as it stops, that water backfills. So we show up to our areas where we were getting a lot of bites, and they were all completely dirty. And when I say dirty, I mean it went from, you know, 4 to 8 foot visibility to 6 inches of visibility. Maybe, I don't know, am I right there, give or take?
Yeah.
And they were not biting like they were before. So we kind of had to scramble and adjust day 1, which also kind of hurt our performance in this tournament too. I think a lot of those people on Kissimmee that did well, particularly day 2, figured out that some of the fish backed out a little bit. And another reason they backed out is they're pulling water out of Kissimmee too. Is a whole nother factor. Besides the areas dirtying up, they started pulling water and dropping the lake level of Kissimmee during the last day of practice, the last 2 days of practice, and the first day or 2 of the tournament, which dramatically affected the fish changing. And Joel probably did a little bit better job of adjusting to it than I did because I had to catch some fish in hatch to save my tournament. But you know, it really took, I think it was until around noon day 2 before those fish started biting moving baits again on Kissimmee. It really kind of picked up there around 11 o'clock to noon on day 2.
Yeah, I mean, I caught them pretty good actually on day 1. Ran to a different area than where I started, and I had a few bites in there in practice, but I mean, I caught them pretty good on chatterbait. I saw them blowing up and throw a chatterbait in there and just basically yo-yo the chatterbait, and as soon as I'd yo-yo it and kill it, they were eating it. But again, I mean, I was calling a 172 for a 176.
Yeah, it's not the right kind.
They just weren't the right size, but there was a bunch of them in there, and I don't know if that falling water right there had them all kind of bunched up. Maybe, you know, I was offshore a little bit, probably 300 or 400 yards off, probably 300 yards off the bank, just on some Kissimmee grass and some pads. And I think what happened is a lot of those fish kind of moved up towards shore. They started pulling that water, and they all kind of congregated into this one area when they started pulling that water and drawing the water down. So just had them congregated up, you know, and it was just a bunch of little ones, you know. It's somewhere out there was some big ones. I mean, anywhere you go down in a Florida lake, you're probably around some big ones, but you know, I couldn't figure out how to get them to bite. So
yeah, and so I'd say the 2 things that we missed was the offshore grass on Toho, and then later day 1, particularly day 2, a lot of guys caught them flipping isolated pads in Kissimmee. And I did not make that adjustment. I did flip pads. I didn't probably fish enough. I didn't back out enough with that dropping water to find those isolated pad patches, maybe flip a beaver or Cinco around there. I know Joel's co-angler caught that 6.5 doing that, but I know a lot of the guys that caught the bigger bags day 2, you know, we had a lot of 16, 17, and 18-pound bags caught out of Kissimmee a lot of them were flipping isolated pad patches, and we completely missed that. I did. You know, I know Joel had a little bit closer
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I necessarily missed it. I did get a few bites out of it. Got some bites out of arrowheads, flipping just a half-ounce swagger, tungsten, flip weight. But I just didn't. I was so keyed in on throwing a chatterbait and a speed worm, and I was getting bit doing it. Where if I was coming along, maybe some arrowheads that were mixed into some pads, I would flip at it, and I'd catch one or two out of them doing it. But I just never kept it in my hand and just kept doing it. And I now looking back, I wish I would have. I know you mentioned that the grass bite out on Toho, that we missed it. I don't think I missed that either. I knew that I was going to go down there 100%. I experienced it last year. I looked at a lot of that grass last year for the tour event. Obviously, I think there was probably 5 of the top 10 that were fishing that grass in Toho, but it's just not something I wanted to do. I mean, I felt comfortable going down to Kissimmee. There's obviously winning fish in Kissimmee. There's big ones in there. Guys that finished in the top 12 are down there this year. It's just, when I was up in Toho for the one day that we spent up there, actually about 6 hours I probably spent up there, there was just so many guys out there looking around. I just didn't want to commit to having to work around all these different people and try to find that needle in a haystack spot. I mean, I could spend 2 days out there, waste 2 days of practice, and still not find anything, and really kick myself in the teeth for not going down to Kissimmee and really trying to figure more stuff out there. So, I could say we missed it because we didn't fish it, but it wasn't the fact that we didn't know it was going to go down or could be a player in this tournament.
Yeah, I think we both knew it was a possibility. We just didn't commit any time to doing it, and it is a huge time commitment to go spend a day out there doing it.
Well, there's just so much of it. I mean, there's so many areas now on that lake that has so much grass, and it's you running across the lake, you can see it on your 2D, and it's everywhere. I mean, it comes all the way out from the bank a lot of times, all the way out into 8-9 foot out there.
Yeah, and
there's just so much. It's a vast amount of it.
Yeah, but I mean, we were close to a lot of stuff. Still had a great week. Had my family got to come down and spend some time, go to Disney World. I had 2 weeks in Florida in 80 degrees. It never rained one day, which was nice. That never happens. We had a lot of fun down there, and we were really close to doing well. Florida can be really tough. I feel more confident probably than I ever have going down there, that even though I didn't have a great tournament this time, I wasn't completely out in left field. I've had a few tournaments early in my career in Florida where, I just whiffed, didn't know what I was doing, and I feel like we're getting closer, and any given time we can compete down there, and it's important because our season's going to start there almost every year. So we're back. We're getting things fixed up. I got to get my entire wrap fixed on my boat because it came off. Got to get my motor fixed, but we're really close to being dialed. We're going to fish those BFLs. It was a successful trip to Florida. We got our YouTube channel, The Sickness, launched. We got our first 3 videos filmed and shot. We got our first post-game one here shot. So looking forward to doing some of those recaps for you all from the BFLs, kind of let you know what's going on in the Ozarks here in February and March. And then we'll have our next big episode of Black and Blue coming up here in early April on Louisville. So, just looking forward to getting that going. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for watching. We're going to do one of these post-game recaps for every of the major tournaments that we do this year. So hopefully you like us. Let us know in the comment section. And
stay tuned.
Let's
You
get to
won't
work.
be pissed.
Yeah.